So welcome to another episode of, I guess, Media Moguls in a way, with me, Jimmy D. And it's funny, because I went to bed a little bit late last night, like later than normal. And then I do this show with Sean on Twitch only, called The Edge. And we talk about various things from Crypto Writer. But yesterday we were talking about the first ever roundtable that Corey and I did on the Crypto Writer podcast channel. And that was a roundtable that was with Cryptostache, actually you, and Ken Bozak. And that was our first ever foray into doing a stream on another channel, and a roundtable on another channel, B. So that was kind of funny that I had to get up this morning. I didn't have to, but I got up this morning to meet you, because this is the first time actually that you've ever been on our channel officially, and this is the first time that we've ever had a one-on-one. So welcome to the Uplifters channel. Please like and share this out. But yeah, Cryptostache, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, man. I know it's early for you, man. It's like midday for me, so it's I know it's a little bit rough there, but it looks like you got your coffee ready to go. So I'm excited to be here, hanging out with you.
Yeah, I mean, you'll notice a big difference in about 3 minutes. It's like an 8-minute morning workout. Right. You're over in sunny California, I believe, right?
That's true, man. Nice sunny California. It's really nice. It's about 73 and sunny and beautiful.
I mean, is it ever not beautiful there, really?
It has its touches here and there, but we don't really have, traditional seasons. I'd say traditional seasons.
I mean, I guess the worst weather was when that thing happened that we weren't allowed to go outside and you got locked in your houses, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, being inside is definitely not where you want to be when you're in SoCal. There's so much going on outside, and yeah, I mean, it's great, man. I just got done doing, a big Halloween thing every year. My family, we do this big Halloween decoration of our house. We make all these custom decorations, man. I don't know if you saw it on my Twitter, but we go all out super crazy. And speaking of the crazy weather, that's the reason I bring it up. Is we were working all this stuff, and man, I put probably 80 hours just myself into hand making these decorations. And then we were putting up in just a few days before Halloween, it was it's gonna rain, an inch of rain. And I'm like, no. So we had to put a bunch of tarps over things and kind of, and so it rained pretty good, and it was super windy that day, but everything survived, and we got past it, and everyone loved it. So yeah, every once in a while in SoCal, man, it'll hit you with one, and that was one that was very ill-timed.
It's fun, so I used to live in Hawaii for a period of time. And I don't know if you've ever been to Hawaii, but Hawaii has one of the probably biggest Halloween kind of events. They close down Waikiki for the whole day, and people go out there and dress up. And these people pour days or months, sometimes even, into their costumes. And I remember the one year that I was living there, I went out and there was this one lady, she had put together this amazing Avatar costume. You couldn't figure out whether it was actual body paint or whether she actually had something on, and she's standing pretty much across the street from this dude who had this alien costume on, right? And the alien, from the movies. And we were talking to him, and he's he had basically spent the better part of 8 to 10 months making this costume for this event, all handmade, and it was really nuts. So it's kind of fun.
I appreciate that, man. I'm a big Halloween fan. Love doing the decorations, and we always do custom matching costumes. So my entire family was all we did Alice in Wonderland theme this year, so we were all different characters from the movie, and it was cool.
My friend does that, with his family. Last year, this year he dressed up as, I think he goes to Halloween.com or something like that and orders costumes every year. But yeah, this year he made his wife be Busty Toad, and his son was Mini Luigi, and he was Mario on a Yoshi.
That's awesome.
It was pretty good. Yeah, last year he was Aladdin. His missus was Jasmine, and his son was the monkey.
Perfect.
I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty good. So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Dude, when people were trick or treating in my house, we saw a guy and he was on like a little go-kart, and he had it decked out like Mario Kart. So he was Mario, and he had like a mushroom or a star that he was throwing at people. So like, and he's driving around this actual cart, and he had it all skinned out to look like the Mario Kart cart. So it was pretty funny.
It's funny. I forgot about that because like in Japan, in Osaka, there's a dark side to this story too, by the way. But yeah, in Japan and Osaka, every year, they've been starting to like recognize Halloween. It's not really an Asian thing that they do, but now all the people will dress up and they'll walk like down the covered shopping street and like through Triangle Park, and they don't really do a trick or treat thing here, but like for the adults, they'll all wear their costumes.
Yeah.
And I remember, last year and the year before and the year before that, there used to be these guys, and they used to drive around town in like on their scooters or in their little like drag cars dressed as all the Mario Kart characters. And it was pretty epic, actually.
I've seen a video of that before, man. And like, I've seen a video and they're throwing bananas and shit at each other and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. But last year we had a bit of so things are getting weird. We'll get into, regular talks in a minute. But yeah, so last year, we're kind of out of the COVID thing here for now, right? Like we're kind of back to normal. And I mean, when I say we're kind of back to normal, like we were a lot more normal, I think, the whole time than a lot of places in America. Like, thanks to the Americans who came in and rewrote the constitutions in Japan, after that thing they call the Second World War, they did two very important things. The first thing was obviously, because it's such a bad thing to do that, they made marijuana illegal, and Japan has some of the most draconian marijuana laws still to this day, and they're actually getting worse, which is crazy. Thanks, America. And
it's all legal here now, man.
Exactly. Right, exactly. And the second thing that they did was they made it impossible for the Japanese to tell the Japanese what to do. They made them bake it in their constitution that they weren't allowed to tell the people what to do. Now, on that second issue, when it came to COVID, they actually weren't allowed to lock people down. They were allowed to like suggest very strongly different people do different things. And so that was kind of nice, looking across the pond in either direction, the people who were really upset that they were being locked down like we weren't. However, that said, the Japanese, they do have this, characteristic of, kind of looking after various things. And it was really funny to see like what was happening in terms of, all of the stuff that was going down, because like they couldn't force restaurants to close, but they did incentivize them in a proper capitalistic way. They couldn't force restaurants to not serve alcohol, but they did incentivize them in a proper way. The funny thing was like, they said basically you're not allowed to sell alcohol. But then, of course, the ingenuity of the people who were, at the local corner shop said, okay, well, let's do a bring your own beer thing. And they did. And apparently they still got paid.
Alcohol for donations.
Exactly.
It's a $5 suggested donation.
Right. But yeah, we had a bit of a scare. We had this thing. And this will lead into what I want to talk to you a little bit about today. But there was a guy on Halloween in Tokyo dressed as a Joker, dressed as like the Joker, like the new Joker,
Yeah.
And he walked through the train with a knife, and 3 people got injured severely. 17 people in total got injured, and he tried to light the train or something on fire on the train. At the end of the night. And so it was basically the statement that he gave was that he was hoping that he hurt or killed enough people so that he would get the death penalty. And of course, my missus, like, she went out, she's like, I'll let you infer what she said, but like, this idea of like, trying to harm enough people so that you would get punished, the maximum punishment, to me was crazy. And it got me thinking, crazy. Right? It's absolutely nuts, right? And like, it got me thinking about communities and society, right? And it got me thinking about like how many people in a sense that crypto might have saved from going absolutely nuts, absolutely insane. And I think I guess you've probably noticed it, right? Because you've been in the game for a while, but I'm just kind of curious on your take. A couple years ago, when all of this COVID stuff kind of happened, did you notice any change in the people that like were following you, that were coming into the communities, that were enveloped in gaming, that were looking towards NFTs? Like, what's your take on it, right? Like, we say a lot of this stuff was bad, but for me personally, it actually led me to where I am and allowed like me to kind of surround myself with like-minded people, and actually, make my life in a way a little bit better. So I'm kind of curious on your take on how this whole pandemic might have happened, and changed, for the positive, obviously, not necessarily for the negative.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about like positive notes, I mean, I think there are some. I think that there's also quite a bit of negative too, but we
Sure.
won't get into that. But I will say that for me, community is the biggest reason why I am here and continue to still be here. And I'll give you just a quick rundown story. So I started doing content in early 2017 after I had I've been in crypto for many years before that, since 2013. But I didn't have any people, any friends, anybody around me that was on that kind of same level. I had like one friend who I could talk to about it, and he wasn't like a local dude, we weren't like best friends or anything, but it was like one friend that actually knew anything about crypto at all. And so I'd be trying to talk to all these other friends about it, no one cared. And so eventually that's why I decided I would just kind of start my own blog, and that's writing down my thoughts, just doing some simple blog posts, and that's kind of how things got started. And but what I realized quickly was that getting involved in the community maybe like 6 or 8 months later after that, the small crypto community, really just getting involved with them is really what got me to stick around to be a part of this movement in the long run. Because it's exactly what you're saying. I found like-minded people in almost everybody I was meeting, and it was kind of a crazy thing. Being in multiple industries as I've been in the event and music industry for a very long time. I've been a musician my entire life, and so I've roved in that kind of community. And I, as much as I've made friends and lots of things, I never really felt like I connected with people on every level like I do with people here in crypto and other communities too. And so crypto was like one of the first ones. Like, man, like everybody I'm meeting is pretty much on the same page, and they have the same style of thinking. They desire a lot of the same things, have a lot of the same values, and that goes a long way to like really create a very supportive community. And so I latched onto that early on and really understood the power of that. And so then fast forward a couple of years when all this COVID stuff started going down, things that were not very so digitally focused became very focused digitally. And crypto is a full digital thing. When you really look at it, it's all digital. We do some meetups here and there, some conferences, which are great, but everything about it is digital in nature. And I think that the COVID stuff really forced a lot of people who weren't so savvy and digital in nature to have to get more comfortable with it if they weren't already, and start utilizing on a daily basis, where it may have just been a very once in a while type of thing. Doing meetings on Zoom, and interfacing in digital formats and collaborative documents, and all kinds of things. And so I think that kind of probably did help to push some people towards finding crypto, having extra time, being online and being digitally focused a little bit more. I think it definitely pushed people in that direction a little bit more, and hopefully them finding some of those same connections like I found, finding like-minded people and being able to have that support system, outside of like what you already had as your established friend circle or professional, acquaintance or work friends, we call them, kind of
Right.
circle. And so I think that's really one of the big things that crypto can do. And when you kind of take that even further beyond just crypto, then you get kind of into the smaller niches, right, of like NFTs and gaming. And that's always been my specialty is NFTs and gaming. And I've seen so many great people come in, join my community. People who may have been gamers, and this is why actually this is the archetype I've seen the most over the last 2 years. Is I've seen a ton of people come into my community who were like, oh, I'm a little bit of an old school gamer. I used to play a lot of games, but now crypto games and NFTs, like this has really got me more excited and like wanting to get back into it. And that's what I've actually seen the most of over the last year or two. Really is that kind of demographic of people who were like me, around my age, maybe a little bit older, played video games since they were kids, Atari, Nintendo, and growing up with that era of computer games, and now kind of coming back to it because there's something a little bit different, interesting, and they can play and earn, and there's NFTs, and it's kind of this melding of current technology and what we're seeing right now in gaming, which is kind of the infant stage of games with blockchain enabled features, right? Very reminiscent of older games that we've seen back in the day, and like, so we're kind of at that like baby step right now. So that I think that's really what I've seen here over COVID, and kind of how community affects things and how big it can be really for everybody during this
Yeah.
time.
So I guess, like, you're a gamer at heart, but I guess that leads into my next question. So, like, without these play to earn crypto games, do you think that you would still be as affluent a community leader as you are today?
Without any crypto games, I mean, I would say yeah, because it's I didn't start off doing just like NFTs, because I've started doing stuff before NFTs were really a thing, and before there was any crypto games. But I kind of found my niche there because it combined a lot of my different loves. But I really started, being somebody who understood how incredibly complicated crypto can be, and being a technical type of person already, but understanding that it was very important that people learned this now, or as soon as possible. And so when I first started out, it was just very general crypto knowledge. I was talking about how to use Bitcoin, how to set up wallets, how to how to navigate exchanges if you never have even touched an exchange before. And I was actually doing, in addition to like my online articles, like help articles, I was doing in-person classes, like Bitcoin classes, where I'd have a room full of like 25, 30 people, and I'd teach them about Bitcoin from the beginning, you know? So I was doing that, focusing mostly on those types of topics for probably the first 2 years or so. I started covering NFTs in 2017, and but it wasn't like that's all I was doing, And so I've slowly transitioned kind of to being more NFT and gaming focused over the last 4 years. But yeah, I mean, a lot of those same articles, people still tell me like, oh man, I thank you so much. This article from 4 years ago helped me to find my tokens on MetaMask, or whatever it may be, get started on some things. So that's always great to hear that.
Yeah, so I came into this space a little bit opposite, right? Like I wasn't a gamer per se. I was a crypto person that got drawn in by the gaming. So that's interesting to see the other side of it, for me. So, like, I guess, what was it about crypto in the first place that got you like interested? Like, I think you kind of already just answered that a little bit now, but like, was it other things that just kind of collided with the gaming and made it all kind of work out? Or was it, the gaming in general that got you the most excited about crypto?
No, I mean, when I first got into crypto, it was 2013, so there was no gaming. There was not much going on in 2013, man. You could do very little with Bitcoin. There was no Ethereum at that point. There was some other stuff going on, but not anything super significant beyond what Bitcoin was doing. And what really got me excited about it, because I had actually like just briefly touched on Bitcoin in 2012. And when I first saw it, it was like I think it was like a Reddit article or some other online news publication site, like a message board. And I clicked on a link to go check it out, and I saw like, oh hey, buy Bitcoin, and I was like, that's cool, digital currency. That's a really cool. It's an interesting concept, And then right next to it was like, also buy Litecoin, and I was like, what? There's two Litecoin? Like, come on, man. And they're like gold and silver. I'm like, this is a scam. So. After that, I didn't see it again until 2013, and that's when I dove into the white paper, Satoshi's white paper. So that was really the first time that I was like, oh wow, okay, this is important. I read the whole thing, and I really understood what was going on, and it just kind of clicked. I was like, this is going to be the future. This is going to be the basis for all internet technology. I was doing computers before, like when the internet was growing up, and pre AOL days, and early 90s, because I've always been kind of drawn to computers, and I was a little bit too young to really take advantage of a lot of that, even though I did in a little bit, a few ways. But when I saw this, I was like, this is going to be the future. And so I invested almost, I wouldn't say immediately. It still took me a couple months to actually make the investment. but that sent me down like all the research, getting onto Bitcoin Talk, talking to people there, reading articles, all the things. And so yeah, it was the ethos of Bitcoin that really got me interested in and excited about crypto initially. And then what got me back into it after the 2014 Mt. Gox hack and massive crash that we had, I kind of sat on my Bitcoin for a couple of years, and what got me back into it was actually Ethereum. I took a peek back at it after it just been sitting there for a year or two, almost 2 years, and I read about Ethereum, and I was like, ooh, programmable money, like
Right.
that's even better, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
So that's when I kind of I got back into things and started really looking at what had transpired over the last couple of years, and I was really surprised at how things had grown, and I knew that it was time to really start doing more in the field and trying to instead of just talking to friends about it, like I want to try and be a part of it in some sort of way.
Yeah. So for people who don't know you, which I would imagine most people do, one of the things that you do is you, I don't know how to say this, but you have this role as a, I don't know if this is the right word because it's not really a character, but it is you, right? Like you are the Cryptostache, and you do like a lot of things online where you review or you play various games and you run contests and stuff like that, right? So how did you kind of first get in to this whole, okay, I'm going to be like a public celebrity. I'm going to be like this person who goes online and, shows people the beauty of what's happening in the crypto space with these types of play to earn games or NFTs, right? Like, and it's quite good. Like, I've tuned into some of your episodes. Like some of my favorite ones are, I think there was one that you did a few months ago where you were wearing the Marriott overalls, and you came in and you were doing a whole race game. You were doing a review of this race, and you were giving away like certain NFTs and things. And so like where did you flip from being the person who likes gaming and the person who appreciates the technology to the person who, in my opinion, in many ways, like should have their own, show on a TV station, aimed towards talking to people about play to earn and the beauty and the benefits of all these games, quote unquote, that people are putting in. Because in a way, like you're like a gaming lifestyle coach. I kind of feel like.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, man. I'm a gaming lifestyle coach. I love that. I'm about to use that in the future. The transition was kind of long one. Like I said, I first started out doing articles and just writing, so I wasn't like doing video at all. And then 2018 I made a transition to start doing a few videos, and I'm still not full-time crypto. Like I have a whole other business that I run, and so that definitely takes a lot of my time. But in general, yeah, it was just kind of a slow ascent. And I started doing more and more video stuff, and I really like the video platform for being able to get information out there. And I will say that just as the COVID stuff was starting at the end of 2019, I'd already picked up doing quite a bit more gaming type of focused content. Out of all the content I was doing, I was slowly doing more and more of that, more and more NFT stuff. And then I started, decided I wanted to do more streaming, live streaming. And so I got on Twitch in 2019 and started doing some streams then. And, it wasn't like very structured, I guess you'll say. Like I didn't have a structure to it. I was just jumping on and just, playing and having a good time. And, when the pandemic hit, I was like, I want to try and do something a little bit crazy and different. And maybe I'm going to come up with a game show, a show that is more of like a fun, interactive type of thing. And not just me sitting there playing video games you guys are watching, and I'm just like, boop, 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 click, click. I wanted to do something that was that, but wasn't focused on me being the best, but focused on having the most fun with my audience. And that's when I came up with the show you're talking about, which is called the Secret Agent Stache Show. And so that show, I'm basically a secret agent. And so we start off kind of in our agent headquarters, and we have a different game that we focus on every stream. And I get into a different disguise. So when I go out on these missions, right, to go play these NFT games, and show everybody how you play and earn in them, what they're about, kind of the basics, here's how you make money. Here's the NFTs you need. Here's all the details behind it and the strategy. We jump into a disguise to do that. So I have I have like probably 25 or 30 disguises that I actually can get into, and there's a bunch of interactivity with the audience, and so they get to guess disguises. I just rolled out a brand new NFT live stream game. So I actually have NFTs on Wax that allow you to interact with my live stream by using the NFTs. So you can use them to get me to do actions or other things while I'm playing these games, change disguises, change the game I'm playing, get me to do things like play blindfolded for 10 seconds or use my left hand instead on the mouse. And so, the whole point of this series was really to be informative for beginners and people coming into it, and then be interactive and have fun with the audience, and really focus on that interaction, give them an avenue. And so I feel like I've kind of hit a milestone here recently with releasing that Wax NFT game, because now we have that ability for people to really interact with the show directly using NFTs. And so we just barely launched that, and then we're working out some kinks, but I'm actually going to go live with that stream. It's every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific. So we're going to be doing it today, and we're going to be doing another test playthrough with the NFTs and making sure everything works and whatnot, because we had a couple of issues upon launch. So it was definitely this gradual thing, but COVID was kind of one of the spurs to this. I was like, I want to do something a little different, and so after I had been streaming for a while, that's why I came up with that concept, and people seem to like it, and it's I enjoy it. It's fun for me.
Yeah, it's super fun, right? And like, if I recall, like you've kids, so what do they think about this? Like, do they interact with Secret Agent Stache? Is this like become like a family thing? Like, you don't have to go too deeply into personal details, but I'm just kind of curious, right? Like how do they feel? Like, are you like the dad that like drops them off at school and they're like, hey, that's my dad, like, check it, it's the Secret Agent Stache, he's doing cool stuff. Or are you like the dad that like, drops them off at school and they kind of like puts the slink down, to get out of the parking lot as fast as they can?
Yeah.
Right? Like
it's probably kind of in between. My daughter's 11, so she's kind of at that age, where it's not necessarily like super cool, but she still enjoys it. I would say that the family watches the stream every once in a while, and they definitely help out with things like disguises and whatnot, which is a lot of fun, and get involved there. And like my girlfriend will jump into chat sometimes, and people definitely know her. She's got mod status in chat, so every once in a while she'll jump in, and people are like, oh, Christy. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely that. The funny thing is that most people, neighbors and friends, they don't really know the extent to what I do in crypto. Like, they really don't, And so a few friends definitely, like, they know, but most people just have no idea of how deep I go into this industry and all the things I'm doing. So yeah, I think it would be pretty surprising for them to see some of those things. Like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah, so I have kids, and my missus, she's not a big crypto person. You've outed them. Those neighbors, they heard you talking. They're calling the popo. The popo is coming to get you for using that dangerous Bitcoin stuff. Sorry, my mic is like hypersensitive.
No worries.
And yeah, but it's funny. Like, she always says as well. She's like, I don't. Because I mean, I have a life outside of crypto too, but like a big part of my life is writing, doing these streams, doing other things. And she's like, I really don't know how to explain it. Like, how to explain like what you do to the people. Because like they don't, my friends, like, they don't get it. They're like,
right,
hey, what does James do, right? And it's like, well, he talks to people on the internet, and he does like Bitcoin stuff, and they're like, okay, what does that mean? She's like, honestly, I don't really know. Like, I don't really know what he does. Like, I just know he's talking to people, right? And it's pretty funny. So yeah, so community, let's sit there for a minute, because like that's a big part of what we're involved in, especially in the uplift world. Like, we do stuff in the crypto space in Wax right now. The uplift world is mostly built over there, and there is a really cool build for you, actually, that was done by you. This is Cryptostache's floating island. I'm pretty sure you know about this one.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I commissioned
like your commissioned build. It's not always the case, right? Like, another one of the people that we had on our show last week, Burst of Energy, right? Like his community went in and did a bunch of builds, and he wasn't even aware of them. They're just like, yeah, we're gonna build these out. So this is your commission build over in Genesis, the floating Stache Island. So I'm kind of curious, how did you find out about the Uplift world, and B, why did you want to commission or have a presence in the Uplift world? I mean, I know why, because we're fucking awesome. That's why. But like, I want you to tell the people, basically, repeat after me. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, okay, first reason why I did wanted to be involved in the Uplift, like I saw what you guys were doing, before there was an Uplift world when you were doing the art portion of stuff, and actually Kim was like, dude, you guys got to see what these guys are doing. They're getting into charity stuff, and I was like, me and him have been friends for a long time, and we've always talked about how we love when there's a charity portion of things going on too. Anyways, so yeah, he just kind of got me involved in the beginning there. And, as things kind of kept going, I was like, man, this team is just really, out there hustling, doing some really cool things. Obviously I've been a huge proponent of Wax for a very long time. And, I've tried to support anybody who's doing really cool stuff on Wax. And so, when I first heard that you guys are doing this kind of like really sweet, Minecraft world and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, this is cool. I want to check it out. And, at first, I didn't jump in right away. I didn't jump in because I'm not a big Minecraft player. Like that's what I will say right here is I'm not a big Minecraft player. Out of all the things, like it's never really been my favorite. But after I started seeing what was going on in the Uplift and what in the kind of roadmap and things you guys were planning on doing, I was like, you know what, I want to get on board with this, and I want to be able to build like my like sanctuary, my Stache sanctuary, kind of like similar to how Superman has his like his ice fortress, right? I wanted to do something like that in the Uplift, just so I could have a cool presence there and a place that that is visible to know that people know that I'm supporting that I like what you guys are doing, and to have a little home base, really in these metaverses, because I mean metaverses in general have always been something I've been incredibly interested in, and you guys were the first one on Wax. I mean, nobody did it before you did it, and so I've tried to kind of be involved with as many as I could, because really, I missed out, we'll say, on Decentraland. Now, I could have bought land many times over, but at a certain point, I try really hard not to FOMO into things, and I made a decision that I'm going to pass on Decentraland, and that's not because I don't like what they're doing or whatever. It just the land had gotten to such an expensive point, even when the token was like only less than a cent. The land was so expensive even at that point. I was just like, I'm going to look for other, opportunities to get on the ground floor. And so like Uplift was one of those, Sandbox and a couple other ones that I had looked at, and so, that's really the reason why I wanted to get in here. When it comes to this build, like I said, I wanted something that was kind of epic looking, floating castle in the sky is definitely one of my, faves there, and kind of like a little bit of an Avatar kind of feel, throwback to it. Wanted to have it, with the waterfall kind of dripping over, which I thought was kind of fun. And I gave light specs to my builder. I didn't like put too much on that. Just said I wanted to be floating, kind of castle style, big giant mustache on there, and they just kind of went to town. And I was like, man, I love this.
Yeah, I was kind of curious how much how much autonomy you gave them, and what the guidance was you gave them for that.
Yeah, that was it. It was very little, man. I was like floating island, sanctuary, giant towers with my mustache. That was pretty much it. They're just like, nice. All right, cool. I was like some lights, and once I got done, I had a couple adjustments made, but in general, it was pretty much what I was looking for. Something that was a little bit iconic and cool, and see from a distance, I guess. Giant mustache is great.
So how did you find them? Actually, I'm kind of curious about that too. Like, where did they pop up in
your part of my community? Just community member in my Telegram group, and we had kind of been talking about the Uplift, and they were like, hey, we could do a cool build for you, and I was like, all right, cool. I need a builder. I got some plots, and let's do it.
It's going to be really funny as if this doesn't work. Because like this is mine and Corey's plot, but I'm not actually sure if I'm whitelisted here. So we're going to find out really quickly and see if I
can down the sign.
Gratitudes here.
Oh, there you go.
All right. So yeah, let's put some gratitudes up while we're here. What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for all my crypto friends. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The people that I've met in crypto have become some of my best friends. Just general, like seriously, man. Like these are people that I've known for years now, and they've become some of my best friends in life. Not just oh well, they're my crypto friends. Like these are people that I talk to more than anybody else in my life at some point. And so, I'm very 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 thankful for all those people out there that I've met early on and continue to meet and have fostered great relationships with. But yeah, I mean that I think is what I'm the most grateful for, man, because friendship is not an easy thing to maintain through life.
Right. I would be really grateful for signs that fit the stuff I want. I'm grateful for blockchain leaders showing the way ahead. Let's say that way.
There you go.
Much like yourself. Yeah, and I second that. Like obviously one of my best friends, probably my best friend right now, is Corey. I'm not even sure if he's a real person, to be honest. It's like he might not be. Like we've never actually met. People find this like hard to believe. Like we've actually never met, right?
Yeah.
And because I'm in Japan and because of COVID, I just haven't had that chance. We're hoping to rectify that very soon. But I know, like in your case, I heard a story from another good friend of ours. The first time that you actually met one of your crypto friends, it was pretty funny. And she actually caused a bit of a ruckus because she got you off your diet. You met Miss Teen Crypto out in California for some conference recently, and I guess that was the first time you ever met her. Like, tell us about that. What was it like to meet, one of your quote unquote crypto friends for the first time in real, like in the flesh? Like, it must have been pretty bizarre, right?
I mean, at this point, like I don't feel like it's not unnatural to me or bizarre. I've always been somebody who's been pretty comfortable with that situation because, like I said, I've always been a very digitally focused person, right? So, like, I was meeting people on the internet, dude, in like early '90s, early 2000s. I mean, late '90s, early 2000s. And same thing, like meet them, and it was way different then. I mean, like this is like pre MySpace days or like just before, And so, yeah, meeting people like that off the internet has not ever been weird to me, I guess, in any kind of way. But it was good. It was fun to be able to put a physical presence to somebody that you converse with and is part of the community. So I think that's the best part of it is that you get there's something that you can't reproduce digitally, right? By meeting somebody physically, right? I think that's the main thing is that. You can talk to them all you want, but being there in the same room is always going to be a little bit different, feel a little bit different. And I enjoy that. I enjoy being able to hang out with people. And that actually wasn't the first time that I met her when she came out. It was in Miami. So she.
Okay, sorry, I was misinformed about that.
No, yeah, but yeah. So the first time I met her was at Kim Bozak's event in Miami, the Shitcoin conference when he did that during Bitcoin 2021. But then she was out here too for a Green Rabbit event, and I was like I'm on this diet, and there's this In-N-Out truck out front, and I'm like I'm resisting, and then she's like, no, you should go for it. I'm like, dang you give me an in here, right. And I did end up eating In-N-Out. So
I've never had In-N-Out, so like I'm a little bit jealous there. But that's the problem when you like hang out with people that like haven't gotten to the point where they actually have to worry about their weight. Because like I ballooned a little bit in crypto. I call it crypto winter because it was winter, but in a way it was much more than that. And so I think it's interesting that we're in this space now today where people are starting to look at blockchain. Now, like you said, you're a big fan of Wax, but you're also very, I think, chain agnostic in your coverage, right? Like you're covering a lot of different games on other platforms. You're covering games on Ethereum. You're covering games on, other platforms. You're streaming to Theta, which is a whole new thing as well. I believe you stream over there live. So you're kind of embellished and involved in all of these different types of blockchains. So I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here, but
Bring it.
by no means is this a complete list. What are your favorite blockchains? Notice how I had an S there for all of you maxis in the comments. What are your favorite blockchains, and for what reason? Right, like because obviously different blockchains have different attributes that are good. So what do you think you're looking forward to right now from what different chains
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's a great question, man. I think that there is a lot going on in crypto, and so there's reasons for different blockchains and to do it. Like obviously, just general blockchain stuff. I'm gonna say I love what Bitcoin is doing in general, just because it's been the leader. It's led the way here. It is helping to create this new paradigm, right? So obviously that's gonna, and then Ethereum is definitely going to be one of my tops. Same thing, a leader in its space, an innovator, leading the way with essentially programmable style money, and the birthplace of NFTs, and really where most NFT gaming is kind of crypto gaming has kind of been born as well. So always big fan of those top two. And then yeah, Wax is definitely been one of my other faves. I've been a huge Wax fan since the beginning, since before they were even doing NFTs. Was Opskins type of days, ICO days there with Wax, and really believe in the team there, what they're doing. Also Engine, been a big Engine fan since the beginning as well. I actually used Engine as a company in like, I don't know, 2010 or 11 or something for my guild. And a lot of people don't know that they were a company well before they got into blockchain, and they were doing gaming website features for like guilds and stuff. So like you could go there and like get a bunch of features for your guild website.
Yeah, we
So
actually thought about doing something like I think in the early days, Corey maybe thought about doing something, but it was just that it would be impossible to do what we wanted to do with them now. And gaming on Ethereum is really difficult, but I do really highly respect what Engine is doing as well.
yeah, and they're making a transition to Efinity, which is a Polkadot thing, and so I think that's pretty interesting. With other chains, obviously you mentioned Theta earlier. I love what Theta is doing. I've been a big fan of them for years now. Decentralized content distribution network essentially is what they're doing. A lot of people just know them for like Theta TV, but the technology that's really behind Theta Network is that it's a decentralized content distribution network, a CDN. So I really love that chain and what they're working on. I've been a big fan of Solana, kind of coming up here recently. I think that they're a pretty good, up and coming NFT chain. Also, Phantasma. I've really loved what Phantasma is doing, their technology and their features for their marketplace, and some of the games that they have going on, and kind of some unique features that they offer, like having NFTs of NFTs, right? Making an NFT out of parts of NFTs, which I really love.
We're at the
So
point of the show now where it's like, come, my children, come. I'm going to name you all. I'm going to pat you all on the back.
I mean, so yeah, there's so many I mean, like I said, so when we talk about like then like Sandbox is also another one. Basic Attention Token, I love. What they're doing with the Brave browser. I've been a user of Brave now for like 3 years because of this, and I love that forward thinking advertising model. Another thing. So yeah, there's a lot of other chains, other than things and projects that I'm involved in and that I believe in. But I'd say those are some of probably the top ones.
Yeah, I mean, so let's put you on the spot number 2, and let's pretend that this, just showed up out of the blue on the screen, and I didn't have to scroll down through a bunch of other really cool streams and stories that you should definitely read about. But yeah, Facebook, right? So now we've got this situation where a multi-billion-dollar corporation has come out and they've decided to rebrand their whole company as Meta. And we saw this before, right? Like, remember when, I guess 2018 ish area, like all of these, companies were changing their ticker signals in the stock market to like Bitcoin or crypto or something, and they had nothing at all to do with blockchain, right?
Blockchain iced tea, bro. Blockchain iced tea.
so
Kodak blockchain miners. There's so many, right?
What's your take on this, right? Like, because actually Facebook probably, and I'm not a fan of it, by the way, but they probably do have the potential and the capacity to be able to do something, metaversally speaking. But like, is this brand like, I don't get it. Why would you rebrand like this if it wasn't just a marketing gimmick? And I'm curious to hear your take on it. Right.
Well, we talked a lot about this. So this post here is from my Monday live stream that I do with a bunch of other blockchain gamers, NFT gamers, called Around the Metaverse. And so yeah, we talked all about this. And I'm not a big fan of Facebook either. I've stopped using Facebook quite a bit a while ago. I really just kind of keep it for kind of contacting older friends and some family and stuff like that. But I'm barely on there. I think that overall, this is a similar play to what we've seen before from Facebook, where they understand that their brand and their platform is kind of antiquated and it's not really future thinking, and they want to try and grasp at some sort of straw to like keep being relevant. And I think that's what they did with Instagram. They saw this up and coming app and like, oh man, what they've done is crazy good. We want to we want to part, so we're going to buy you out. And so they did, and I feel like it helps to kind of they try to make as much interconnectivity between the two platforms to make them almost like you have to use Facebook to have Instagram to do some features and stuff like that, which makes sense, because they're trying to keep people using Facebook, because how they make money is through your data, right? Through being able to take your data, and so. Now I think they're kind of doing the same thing. I think they're kind of reaching for something that is going to keep them relevant. They see what's going on with blockchain. They see what's going on with apps like TikTok and how they're just kind of losing a lot of market share here. And so I think this does go in line though with, I don't think it's random. I think it definitely goes in line with their acquisition of Oculus, right? So if Oculus is a Facebook company as well.
Right.
So they acquired that VR platform, which is arguably one of the biggest VR platforms out there. And so I think that Zuckerberg does kind of see that vision for the future, but he's just trying to acquire it essentially. And so at this point, I think that I think it's a smart move. When you talk about any kind of move they could be making to be more relevant, to do something interesting, it does go along with some of the things that they've been talking about. So like the Horizon, Facebook Horizon, which is their like VR platform that they wanted to try and roll out and whatnot. And that's kind of probably going to be the basis for their metaverse. And, I think that they're starting to see this being the direction they want to go, which is smart. I mean, it is getting a little bit ahead of the curve, but I do think it's one of those plays that, really is meant to keep them relative in the conversation. And smart play. We'll see how it actually pans out for them. See how it actually pans out. But yeah, I do think that, it does go in line with what they've been trying to do here recently.
Yeah. So from just as a disclaimer here, like, and I think a lot of people who follow the show know this, like, there's a lot of times where like me and our team or people on our team don't necessarily agree with like perspectives and things, right? And so sometimes it gets brought up in the meetings, right? And the direction that we go is more defined by conversations that we have in the space. But like for us, we're kind of looking at it and we're like, from my point of view anyway, I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, I don't want to see a company like Facebook come in and take over the metaverse space, right? Because like we haven't even really defined what a metaverse is, right? Like I kind of feel like we know, but like to say that like something like Splinterlands isn't a metaverse would be kind of silly, because it is, right? It's a different kind of like this world. Immersives, for example, we've had them on the show. We do a show called The Metaversal Effect once in a while, and we talked to these various metaverses that are out there. I do a show with Nathan on Tuesdays, and one of our first guests was Ollie from Somnium, right? Like our Yoshi Drop artists were over in Crypto Voxels last week, I guess, doing a show, the first Metaverse Music Fest, right? And so like I see the ability to have all of these different metaverses, across the board that are all focused on different things, right? And right now we're using Minecraft as the building layer, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that we're a Minecraft metaverse, right? Like we have the ownership rights to those NFTs, and if you own those NFTs at some point in time, there could be a better platform or a different platform that we could port to, right? So I just want to put that out there. But like for me, it's interesting because it's like, right, Facebook has defined social media for so long now that it's put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. And most people don't care, right? Like grandma, she don't care. She's just on there to see what, the grandchildren are doing off at university, and go home at Christmas and, make some comment. And then 18-year-old Sally is like, oh shit, I totally should have blocked grandma from like seeing my, feed when I was in Miami for, I want to say Golden Week, but there is no Golden Week in the States, but, for March break, for spring break, right? But like, I think that there's going to be many ways to define gaming when it comes to blockchain. There's going to be many ways to define the metaverse, right? And I just don't want to see, like, I hope that you're right, that it is partially gimmick, but like, I just don't want to see that being the representation for metaverses that goes out to the world from our take.
I'm right there with you, man. I mean, I want to see it being more of a homegrown solution. I'd rather see, something like the Uplift or Decentraland or Sandbox or somebody else, be the driving force behind the main, what we would consider like the metaverse that people, are taken with. And, I think that, Facebook has a pretty uphill battle when it comes to that, man. There's a lot out there to challenge, and they're quite behind. So,
well, they've been getting their ass kicked for a while, in a way. So I'm not expecting that to change anytime soon. Like the only company that seems to be worse off than them right now is Block One, if I'm honest about it. And I like EOS actually, but like, yeah, like they're just getting slammed, right? Like they're getting slammed by the with the whole, what was it that like they wanted to create their own currency basically and circumnavigate like all the governmental protocols, and they got slapped with that, right? And they probably understand what's going on too as well. So your NFTs, let's touch on that before we go. So these are your NFTs, and like a lot of them I think are really interesting. Like I like that they're in line with your character, and what you do in the space. So tell us about the NFTs. Like where do you come up with the ideas? Is there any benefits to holding these?
Yeah, I mean, I've done quite a bit of variety of different NFTs. So when I first got started, they were very like I would say like event focused. So anytime there was like some special event or something, some sort of I don't know, important something that happened, whether it was an in-person event or not. That's how, like, if you scroll down to the end of the page, like that's where a lot of those first NFTs kind of came from. And so, some of them were, yes, like, the Majestic Stache airship was one I did for LA Blockchain Week. The Bitcoin Can Do It one is one I did in collaboration with the meetup location that was hosting our meetup. So a lot of these are very like specific focus. Then I did a series of like these movie posters, and these were kind of like repurposing some older artwork that I had done quite a bit a while ago. So I minted those when Rarible first came out as a platform, because I was like, oh, I'll give this a try. And then like above that I have like the Stache sticker series, and all these like Stache heads and little things. These are all stickers from my Telegram group, and people were using them so much, and not just my group but other groups. They're like, dude, you got to make these into NFTs. And so I just, I just slapped them into NFT format, and, did them on Wax, and sold them really dirt cheap, man. I mean, just to get them out there and whatnot. So, and then like some of these other ones, just kind of, like I said, go along with specific things. The NFT beat one right there, that was one I gave out when I launched that brand new show that I do with Kim Bozak. Now it's probably been almost a year we've been doing it, but I gave that out at the beginning. The Stache Signal one was one that I did when I was doing a tutorial on how to create NFTs on Wax, and I had to have so that was one of the ones. And there's one there for the Play to Earn Festival I did in collaboration with them. Instructor Stache was one when I did an event with the South Dakota University, and I was speaking for them, and so yeah, a lot of these NFTs have to kind of do with that. And then I've done some collaboration stuff where I've collaborated with a bunch of different artists on Wax and across other platforms to do some really cool artwork that is Stache themed. So you see a bunch here that have been worked on, and the other artists did the actual artwork for, and we collaborated on in kind of different ways. And like I have tons of different. I mean, this is just a small. This is not everything too. There's so much more out there that I haven't updated this in quite some time. But there's a bunch of different collaborations I've done with other artists, and they've used my mustache for things, or caricatures, or like playable characters in games, things like that. Like I have my own dragon. It's called the Stache Dragon You can kind of see in the Stache Master of the Horde. That's a character inside of Lost Relics, which is pretty cool. Which is an engine-based game. And so I mean, I've collaborated in a bunch of different ways and create NFTs for various different reasons, And then my latest one, obviously, is the Secret Agent Stache game, which has its own website and all that stuff too. So I don't know if you want to bring that up, but it's secretagentstache.com.
Yeah,
And,
I can do that.
yeah.
So it might like, I don't know how you feel about, November. Like, is it good? Like you actually get to blend into the crowd, or is it like annoying? It's like, God damn it, now everyone has a mustache.
Yeah, man. Movember's like it's just another month for me. I'm always rocking the stash, and but yeah, I mean, I definitely do notice more people kind of going with more facial hair during the month and stuff like that. So it's not that hard.
What was that one called again? Cryptostache dot.
Oh, it's Secret Agent Stache.
Sorry.
Yeah, secretagentstache.com. And that's kind of like the home base for that specific NFT series. And so it's like its own collection, and it's powered by NFT blocks. They help me out with doing a lot of the functionality and stuff for have on-screen notifications for any time that the blends and stuff like that, the redemptions of the cards go live, so I can actually complete the actions for the actual live stream. So when we're all live, someone plays a card, it's shown on screen, like the notification, like, hey, so and so's wallet played this card, and then I got to go do that action.
Yeah, so I think it's a really cool concept, and I kind of want to know, like, what's your advice to someone, because there's a lot of podcasters who, they just cover whatever. They just, try to go out there and get people to pay them for coverage and things like that. I mean, we're in a little bit of a different boat, I think, like in wax. Like, there's a lot of people in wax who are, covering what they want to cover. So what do you have any advice? Because, like, you've done a really good job. I've never seen anyone do this before, put this type of aspect behind a show, where the cards can be utilized to have you do certain things. And it's kind of like the beta of, I think, what a lot of games will, like, player-to-player games will become. And so do you have any advice, like, for people who are out there who want to break into the kind of media space, that want to become, I don't like the word influencers, but that feel like they've got something to teach the world, that feel like, they could help other people? Because there are a lot of these people in the crypto market. And I think if you're following someone that was around during the bear market, those are legit people who actually want to be in the space and do good things. We're on the verge of, like, maxing out the bulls in a way. And there's going to be tons of people who are going to come in and they're going to promise you all games and they're going to sell you all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But, like, at the end of the day, it's all going to fall apart. So how would you recommend that, people who are genuine and sincere differentiate themselves from these hordes of people that just come in and out just for the money grab type of scenario?
Yeah, it can be hard, man. I even struggle with that. I'll say is, seeing other people, flying past me when it comes to subscriber numbers. And I'm just like, man, that, I know how disingenuous that person is, or it may like that, that does kind of irk me a little bit. And so, what I really just is I just try and run my race, I follow my passion. I try and be as helpful as I possibly can for people. And really, like I said, just do the things I enjoy. And, hopefully people will start to see and understand and recognize that and see it in my content, because I think that's what most of my community and fans do recognize. And that's really what I advise to the people is just, follow your passion, be true to yourself, be true to your audience. And I think that you'll be successful in the long run.
So yeah, people can come in and they can check out what you're doing every Thursday on YouTube, Twitch, and Theta for the Secret Agent Stache missions. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because it's super fun. I think it's one of the most creative shows when it comes to gaming in the space.
Thanks, man.
I don't always get a chance to watch it live, but the time difference for me is a little bit, but I always enjoy it. It's one of those shows actually that I can't watch in the car. Which is interesting, right? Because, like, I watch or I listen to a lot of shows in the car, but you actually have to be part of the place to get the meaning behind it, and it's super cool. So yeah.
Being there live is definitely a lot of fun, interacting and stuff. So
yeah, and like we're excited to see like more people like you come in as well. Like I'm interested to see, because I don't know if you know what's going on with the uplift, but we're actually on the verge of an estate sale now in Gratitude. So we're opening up a new server where people are going to be able to come in, and they're going to be able to, for the first time ever, buy buy estates, right? So they're going to get like 10 plots, I think, total. I think the starting price is like two grand or something, which is fairly cheap, I think, considering like what the individual plots have sold for in the past. We decided to price it in dollars for the simple reason that like we've learned our lesson when pricing things in wax, especially in a bull market, because like, right, if we would have priced it in wax, like when we came up with this idea, then last week when wax went basically to the moon and only a quarter of the way back, right? Because that was insane, right? Like we almost doubled, I think, and then we had a bit of a pullback, right?
I call that a relative all-time high. So because I was talking about wax the other day on the channel, and I was like, man, this it hit relative all-time highs, and people are like, what is that? And I go, well, so there's this thing with wax, man, is that when it first came out, it had a crazy valuation and dropped very significantly, like pretty much not right away, but yeah, pretty much almost right away down to very low levels. And so will it ever get back to the all-time high that it had of like almost $3? Like maybe. I think that there's a possibility. I think wax is a very undervalued ecosystem for everything that's done. I mean, it's crazy to see, a chain like Solana that has very little, not very little, but just, in comparison to wax, like functionality and what they've done in the space, and, with NFTs and everything else. Like, it's crazy to see how undervalued wax can be. So,
I mean, with Solana, though, I can kind of see where people are coming into the hype for that. Like, there are a couple things that are happening, right? Like, there's a bridge to Terra now. Like, they're kind of linked. They're doing great things. They're super fast, even though their network has shut down a couple times for 24 hours. They're still pushing boundaries. I mean, I have a few, just because I don't want to be that guy who doesn't have any, but like, to see a coin or a token like Cardano, for example, that's not really releasing anything tangible, that's up there around that $3 range. It does my head in, right? When you've got something like wax, like you said, that's being used every single day. Is that what we were checking Atomic Hub the other day? It was 12 million in 12 million in sales daily, right? Like we're looking at like 12 million in sales daily. Like this is absolutely insane, right? And there's like zero coverage, right? So I guess that's my question, like ABC, NBC, all of you crypto people, Coinbase, when wax, really? I mean, it took long enough for Binance to get it even, right? So,
I mean, I would love to see it listed in more places, make it more available to everybody out there. I still have people say that it's hard for them to buy wax, especially in the United States. And there's not a ton of avenues for it, but it's possible. And I think we'll see it. I think we'll see it eventually. But I mean, like when you see Coinbase adding things like Civic, the hell, like what? Like there's just I don't know, and like some other things that they've added. And like wow, like who do we have to pay off? Like like seriously, whose pocket do we need to line here to get this going? So I don't know. Sure. Maybe William will start making it rain on some of these people, and we can get wax listed in a couple more exchanges.
I mean, I'm personally a fan more of the organic growth, like, because here's my thing, right? Like, I'm not upset that the price of wax increased, but I've been in crypto for enough cycles to be like, oh, this thing has potential, and I need a little bit more time to accumulate. Right, like if some of these other projects go to the moon, I'm probably gonna cash out. But like if wax goes to the moon, I'm gonna be like, oh man, now I just got to pay more to get my wax. So I'm quite interested to see. I mean, for me, I can't wait for the day where we get to the point where different people from different blockchains can come into the Uplift world, and it'll be seamless, right? They'll connect different wallets to the back end, and they'll earn rewards on different platforms. Right now, all the rewards are paid out in Upliftium or Wax, but like there's nothing stopping a world on Terra or a world on Binance Smart Chain or a world on any of these other things. And I think that's with gaming in general, right? And so like I would imagine you're in the same boat. Like I don't think that we're going to get to a point where blockchain gaming takes over the world until we get to a point where multiple games can accept multiple currencies. And we do this in the real world, right? Like people who buy Minecraft or people who buy, things in Fortnite, right? They don't have to go through a centralized exchange to be able to change Japanese yen to American dollars. It's all converted on the back end. Mm-hmm. And so like, before I let you go, I'm just wondering, at what point do you think is the tipping point where people realize, DeFi is another good example, but gaming especially, that like we no longer have to pay to play. We can actually get paid for our attention, because we do live in an attention-based economy, and there's so many gamers out there that spend so much money, and it's become like behind the department store courts of like Compton or Brooklyn, whereby if you're good enough, right, like you can get out, you can become like part of the NBA, right? Like if you're good enough now as a gamer, like you get out, you get to be like make money from the sponsors and stuff like that, right? But we're at the point now, I think, where everyone can play, right? Like I think everyone will be able to make money. So what's the breaking point, do you think? Is that crypto? Is crypto where gaming, revolutionizes itself to actually pay these gamers a living wage to be able to do what they want to do, and they don't have to be just in the right place at the right time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that gaming is that avenue, to really bring crypto mainstream. And, I think that we're getting close. We've seen a lot of like smaller games come up and garner a lot of attention, but we're getting to the point where we have some of these breakout like AAA style games that are coming here pretty soon. And they're definitely going to be making a splash, not just in the crypto world, but in the actual physical, like mainstream gaming world, And so I think that we'll see that tipping point when we start to see some of these larger streamers jump on board with those things when they start to launch, talking about it just because it's a good game, not because it's a crypto game. Right. And the play to earn elements will be just, it'll be a feather in the cap. Like, hey, this is an amazing game and you can earn. That's what I really want. That's really what I want the focus to be right now. The focus is like, you can earn in this game. And it's kind of boring. We have a lot of, there's not every game's like that. Like I play a lot of pretty fun games on my stream, but I would say the majority of the games and offerings right now are kind of like that. And so I think when that's flipped, that's when we really start to see a lot of traction.
Yeah, and I'm guilty of that too, right? Like I love what our planet's doing, but like my our planet, Stache sucks, because like I actually have to go in there and click a button. And like if I have to go in there and click a button and nothing happens, I'm more apt to not go in there and click a button. And I'm a crypto person, right? So yeah, I'll tell you that this is what I can't wait for. I can't wait for the day that somebody can log into a game like they do now, and they can play, and a little pop-up comes onto the screen that says, look, you can play here. You can do whatever you want. You can do it for free. But all you have to do is you have to go here and you register your email address and you get a Waxcloud wallet, and then we'll start paying you for your actions in the game, right? And it's like you can just come in as a guest user and you can do that. But I think there will be a day where you can log in and it'll give you a choice, right? Like it'll be like these social logins where you have a choice. It's like, okay, which wallet do you want to connect? And which wallet do you want to, collect your rewards from, and which wallet do you want to buy your in-game purchases from? And that's what I'm really excited. And I'm really excited to see like you yourself continue these streams and follow us through, because you're one of the best in the space when it comes to like giving people a well-rounded experience and showcasing some of these games. So thanks so much for that. I know you got to go. I know you're busy. I would love to keep you here all day. Because we haven't talked about our matching plaid shirts. We haven't talked about like, a ton of other things. But yeah, if there's anything else that you want to leave our guests with, what would it be?
I mean, we touched all the cool fun stuff, man. I would just say, jump on if you want to learn more about what I'm doing, jump on a live stream. Thursdays are great, but I live stream almost every day of the week now. So definitely check out my YouTube channel and give me a follow on Twitter.
And all the links are below. Click on those links. It'll take you directly to Cryptostache. So you'll be able to connect with them. Thanks so much for joining us. Come check me out. Actually, I'll be doing a stream in 15 minutes, actually, with the Neon Space guys. We're going to be talking about what they're doing over there in their ecosystem. But yeah, thanks once again for joining us. And you guys all take care. I mean, I'm going to let you do your sign out thing, whatever you do, because I'm going to do mine, but it's going to take a while to catch up because I've only got 2 hands. So here we go.
Stash that crypto